welcome back to Dede's Mediterranean Kitchen. Today we're going to be making a really simple Mediterranean fruit tart. It's your nice pastry tart crust, and we're going to fill it with some custard, which is a Mediterranean custard. We're going to top it with some berries and fruit, and then we're going to glaze it with a nice apricot glaze. Now, if you want this recipe or any of my other recipes, make sure to go to my website at DedeMed.com. Don't forget to join me on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, or Pinterest. So, whatever your social network is, you can find me. Let's get started. So here we have some flour, just some regular all-purpose flour, and I like to use both butter and Crisco shortening for my pie crust. Some people just like to use butter. If you like to use butter and you don't want the hydrogenated fats, you can do that as well. Here I have a pastry cutter, and this helps combine the butter with the flour. Now you can also do this in a food processor, and it's really simple that way as well. You just blend it up until it looks like they're almost small grains of sand, and everything is well combined. Now while I'm doing this, I want to add just a little bit of salt. Salt makes everything a little bit sweeter, and I like to add some raw sugar. If you like to use regular white sugar, you can do that as well. We just want our pie crust to be just a little bit sweet. So I've combined my shortening and my butter with my flour, sugar, and salt, and you see I have a nice crumbly mixture, just like that. That's exactly what you want. So I'm going to take just the excess off of here, make sure we get all the parts of the flour. And again, if you want, you can do this in a food processor. It is a lot easier that way as well. I just didn't feel like cleaning a food processor. So just like that. Now you want to make sure to use cold butter, and here I'm using cold water. I'm just going to add a few tablespoons just until the dough starts to come together. And that's what you want. You don't want too much water in your pastry dough. So just like that, see how it's starting to clump up? That's exactly what you want. And I like using a glove because I don't like the flour mixture to get in my fingernails. And if you're wearing rings, it can get into your rings. So just like that, you're going to form a nice ball of dough. And you can see the little bits and pieces of butter and shortening in there as well, and that's fine. So you just want it until everything holds together. See, I don't need to add any more water to that. So I'm going to form this into a ball. I am going to just flatten it out a little, just like that. I'm going to wrap it in some plastic wrap, put it in the refrigerator. I want it to rest for at least a half hour to an hour before rolling it out. So here I have our pastry crust, and it's been resting in the refrigerator. Just want to get this opened up. And on my board, I want to make sure I flour my rolling pin first, and then generously flour your board where you're going to roll it up on. So just like that. Yeah. And so you want to gently roll it out forward and side to side until you get a nice circle. Okay, so I rolled out our crust. Just want to reflour my rolling pin just a little so I can make sure to get this off. And I rolled it to about between an 1/8 inch and a 1/4 inch of thickness. So here I have my tart shell. And you can use this size tart shell, or you can use the mini muffin tins. You can make mini tarts in there. So I just like to gently roll it out onto my tart pan. And then you want to gently slide down the sides. And you see the nice pieces of butter and shortening in the crust. And that's going to keep it flaky. You want those chunks of butter and the shortening. That's what keeps your crust flaky. You want to make sure to use the cold butter. Alright, so it's nice and pressed in there. I just want to take a knife and go around. I have my oven preheating, and I'm going to actually bake the tart, and then we're going to let the tart shell cool, and that's when we get to fill it with our custard and our fruit. You don't want to fill a warm pie shell because your custard will just fall apart on you. So just pull the excess crust off. And with this excess crust, you can just put it in a bag and freeze it, and then use it for a different kind of tart. Or you can use the leftovers to make mini tart. Just want to make it nice and even all around. Just like that. Now some people like to put a piece of parchment paper and then some beans to hold it down. Since we're not cooking it for that long, baking it for that long, I'm just going to bake it like this. I want to put some slits in the bottom so that the crust does not puff up. So just like that, I'm going to throw it in the oven for about 12 minutes, or just until you see that it's starting to brown around the edges. So while our pastry is chilling, I am actually going to make our glaze. And I have some apricot jam here. It's actually my Aunt Samira made this for me. She makes fantastic preserves and jam. So I'm just going to heat this up. I have it heating with just a little bit of water. I want to heat it up, and to this I've dissolved some cornstarch in some water. You never want to add cornstarch directly. You always want to dissolve it first. So I dissolved some cornstarch just like that. So as soon as this heats through, I'm going to add the cornstarch, and then I want the glaze to come to a room temperature. You don't want to put hot glaze on your fruit. So I'm going to turn off the heat. Never add cornstarch on direct heat. So I'm just going to stir it in just like that. You can turn your heat back on low. And as soon as this comes to a simmer, we're going to take it off the heat, and you're going to see it's going to become clear again. Okay, so our pie crust has cooled down. I just want to gently remove it. A little bit of a process here. Set it down onto our serving platter. This over here. Here I have our ashta, which is a Mediterranean custard. This recipe is on my website as well. I made it actually yesterday, and I let it cool completely in the refrigerator so that it's nice and thick. If you don't want to use this, you can actually use any type of custard that you like. So I just want to gently spread this around. Now remember, this custard has a lot of flavor because it's actually flavored with a little bit of rose water and some orange blossom water, which give it a fantastic flavor. Now you can use whatever fruit that is in season to decorate your tart. I'm going to use some strawberries, and then I want to actually use some kiwi. And make sure you get some ripe kiwi. I'm going to form a little bit of a line with my kiwi, just like that, and then put some blueberries in between the strawberry and the kiwi. Putting my blueberries. Then I want to use some blackberries. Just go around. Some people call them boysenberries. You can use whatever fruit is in season, whatever fruit that you like. Go ahead and throw that on here. I've seen pineapple. Some people use canned peaches. So whatever you like, I suggest you use for this. So my tart is now decorated with my fruit all the way around. I have my apricot glaze here. I just want to lightly brush my fruit with the glaze. So I just finished glazing my tart, and what you want to do is you want to refrigerate it for about an hour or two before serving it, just so everything sets nicely. This goes fantastic with some fresh whipped cream if you like, or you can serve it on its own. It could be served for breakfast, brunch, or as a dessert. It's fantastic. It has a lot of flavor. It's easy to make. You can make it in advance. If you want this recipe, make sure to go to my website at DedeMed.com, and I will see you again.